Welcome to part 3. I'm super excited for this because this is the actual technique. This is the actual doing the meditation, and we're going to build on the first 2 parts. So if you haven't seen those, I recommend going and watching them. Now before we get into it, again, credit to Shinzen for this amazing system. So the technique is going to be noting, and basically all that noting is noticing and then labeling and then savoring a sensation. So if you remember the 3 sense channels, those 3 sense channels are gonna be what we label with. So there's only 3 labels. For all 6, if you remember, there's only 3 things that you can use to describe them. It's either see, it's either hear, or it's either feel. So when you're noting, when you're doing the technique, basically what's happening is you're choosing specific sensations, and we'll get into the different techniques, but you're choosing beforehand, before you sit down, which sensations you're going to be noting, and then you simply note the sensations as they arise. You label them, or you note them as in you notice them. You notice a sensation, you then label what it is, and you can say the label out loud or in your mind, but I prefer it out loud, and I think Shinzen recommends saying it out loud because it kind of keeps you just kind of grounded, and it keeps you onto the technique so you don't get distracted. Because if you're saying it in your mind, it's easy to kind of just like get lost in thoughts and stuff. So you notice a sensation, whatever the sensation is. So say we're doing a feel session where we're noting physical sensations and our emotional body. So you sit down, and every time you notice a physical sensation, say your butt against a chair, you simply say out loud, feel. And then you notice the air against your skin, and you say, feel. And then after you label it, you then savor the sensation, and you kind of just immerse yourself in the sensation. So again, with your butt against a chair, you can even do this right now. You notice the feeling of your butt against a chair, you label it, feel, and then you savor it. And then once you savored it, you open up to whatever sensation comes next. So that's the technique. It's noticing, it's labeling with labels, and then you're savoring the sensation. So which techniques are there? How can we use these labels, and how can we use the 3 sense channels and the 6 individual sense channels to practice? Well, easy for beginners is to focus on one sense channel and one domain, whether it's inner or outer. So you could pick external sight and sit down for 15 minutes or however long you want to sit down to, and note and label every single thing that comes into your awareness through your sight. So whether that would be you sitting down and you're letting your awareness sort of float, and I see this, see. And then I notice this over here, see. And then I notice that, see. Or what also you can do is, so there's open focus, which is what I was just doing, and then there's narrow within these techniques. So open, pretty much what it is you're allowing whatever it is within that technique, you're allowing the whole open field of it, so anything within your visual field, and you kind of just bounce around and note. Or narrow focus is you stick to one thing. See. 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 So that's narrow, and then open would be see. 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 So there's open and narrow, but for the beginners, this is a great one because it's just one little, it's one domain and it's one sense channel. It's very easy to remember like what you're doing, or my actual favorite to do is external sounds. I'll just sit down and close my eyes, and I'll just note and label everything I hear, and I'll keep my focus open. So I'll just go here, 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 here. And it's just like, it's really beginner friendly, really easy, and it'll still develop concentration, clarity, and equanimity, because what's going on when you're meditating? Well, for one, concentration. Every time you get distracted or lost in thoughts and you come back to the noting, you come back to the labeling, you're developing that concentration. For clarity, the more that you use all of these senses in your meditation practice, the more that throughout the rest of your day and the rest of your life, you're going to be able to pick up on all of these senses. And for equanimity, the more you're able to practice and let thoughts just come and go, that's developing the equanimity, because when you're focused on, say, whatever technique you're doing and thoughts are coming and you're letting them go, that equanimity will carry over to your day, because instead of having these anxious thoughts that just tear you up, you're able to just let them flow. You're able to just let it go. So that is a very beginner-friendly technique. Another very beginner-friendly technique is to focus on one sense channel in both the inner and outer domains. So you could do just here. So just one sense channel, but it's mental chatter and it's everything you're hearing externally. So you can sit down, and then when you hear your mental chatter start talking, here. And then you hear a sound out here, here. And then mental chatter goes off, here. And then you hear the wind, here. And then mental chatter, here. Then you hear your breath, here. So that's a really easy one. And same for feel, same for see. The more advanced techniques are where you're going to get more of the benefits and are going to be a little bit more challenging, but like I said, they're going to develop concentration, clarity, and equanimity 10 times better, because you're sort of taking on more. And the first advanced technique is called focus out. Now this is all of the external. Everything out. See, hear, and feel. This is also one of my favorites. I really like doing the external because it's easy for me to get lost in thought, and I know that, maybe that's why it would be better for me to practice that, but it's really easy for me to sit down and just note what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and what I'm feeling. So I'll sit down and I'll just go feel, see, hear, feel. And there doesn't have to be a particular order. It's just whatever comes into your awareness. That's what you notice, and then you label it. You savor it and then let it go. And your awareness will just go to something else if you're using an open awareness. So that is one of my favorites, is focus out. Now the inverse of that is focus in, and that's all the internal. So that's images in your mind, that's mental chatter, and that's your emotions. So same thing. See, feel, hear. And the pacing is sort of like, I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's you don't want to be like, see, hear, feel, see, hear, feel, hear, see. Like, you don't want to get crazy. It's just like, feel. Because if you're going too quick, you're not savoring the sensations. See internally. See, feel. So that's focus out. And then of course the last one is note everything. And this is where you're just sitting down, and whatever sensation, no matter what it is, any of these three right here, you are noting. Whether it's internal or external, you're noting them. Anything. And this one's really cool because you don't have to narrow your focus to one thing. Because when I'm doing focus out, I can tell that the mental chatter and I'm having images, and it can be distracting, but that is what creates the equanimity, because you just kind of let them go by. But the cool thing about note everything is that you don't have to let anything go behind you. It's all out in front of you. So if you notice one thing, you note it, note it, label it, label it, label it, label it, and it's like kind of easy. So that's the technique. I hope that I explained that good enough, but basically just know that you're sitting down, you're choosing which sense channels you're going to use beforehand. And the reason why you want to choose beforehand and not just go into it randomly is because when you're able to just choose something specific that you're working with, whether it's one sense channel, whether it's focus out, whether it's focus in, that'll give you what you need to concentrate on. That's what's going to develop that concentration, is choosing like, okay, I'm doing focus out, let's do it. And then that's what the concentration aspect is developed in, is that concentration on the outer sensation. So just know that all you're doing, again, noticing sensations, labeling it for what it is, see, hear, or feel, and then savoring the sensation. And that's it. That's all there is to the technique. And this technique has produced the most results out of any meditation technique I've ever done when I did it consistently. I've also had some really weird mystical experiences doing this technique. One time when I was doing focus out a lot for like 30 days straight, I was driving home in my truck, and I almost can't even put it into words. It was like my whole world in my mind just became so expansive. And it was like where the thoughts were dominating my whole head, they got so tiny, and it felt like I was just like super far back, and like even all the physical sensations were out in front of me, and like it was just super weird. It only happened for like 10 seconds. But what you'll notice when you start doing this technique is that it'll just kick in randomly throughout the day. Like you won't have to try, and you'll just start noticing sensations because you've gotten so good at noticing and labeling them. You'll just be like walking, and you'll just start like feeling all the sensations and hearing everything without trying, and it's super like weird and cool. It makes everything feel magical, and it makes it seem like it's kind of like doing it to you. So where you do the meditation and you're the one meditating, it almost seems like at one point that if you do this enough, reality will start meditating you at random points in the day. You could be doing anything. Like I've been lifting weights, doing this technique, and like I'll just be like super in my head, listening to music, lifting, and then it'll just like click, and then I'm just like super aware of all of my sensations, super aware of everything around me, and it's like super cool and super weird. So there's a lot of possibilities with this, and I kind of want to talk about the benefits in another video, but this is the meat and potatoes. This is the technique, and for duration, time limit, it really doesn't matter. You could do this technique for 5 minutes, and that's what a micro hit actually is. So let's talk about that real quick. A micro hit is choosing one of these techniques and doing it for just 5 minutes to relieve stress and to get you back grounded into the present moment. So you could do a micro hit on external sounds and just for 5 minutes just listen to sounds and note and label them, and then just go back on about your day. And you'll notice that just that 5 minutes of noting and labeling will bring you back. It'll bring you back centered if you've gotten, tangled up in your mind, and if you've gotten pulled all over the place. So really, really cool. I absolutely love this technique. Again, Shinzen Young, amazing system. I'm going to actually link his website in the bio because there's a ton of resources, and there's even like huge PDF files on how to do this even more in depth, because there's even more to this, because you can do like 2 of these. There's techniques where you can do like hear feel or see feel or see hear, and like there's just like a lot more in depth to it, but this is pretty much it. You're noting a sensation, you're labeling it for what it is, and then you're savoring the sensation. And you just do that in cycles with whatever technique you're using. So I hope this video helped you out. I hope that this series has given you some really good information and really valuable insights into this meditation system, and I hope that this can help you guys out. If you have any questions, do not feel afraid to ask, because I'm sure that there's some stuff I left out or some stuff that wasn't clear. So if you have any questions and you're a little confused, make sure to leave a comment. I will definitely reply. So again, thank you Shinzen Young for this amazing system. If you liked the video, please leave me a like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification. That'll make sure that when I upload, you can see the uploads. And if you want to check out my Instagram or my clothing company, Pursue Spirit, the links are in the bio. So this is kind of going to pretty much be the end of the series. I'll probably do a video on the benefits of it, but this is it. This is the technique, and I hope that it benefits you guys really well. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.